Ladies and gentlemen, all hail the Anarchy Era, because tonight live on Sportswire Radio, we get the inside scoop on why the Anarchy Era is not only the most dominant era in TBW history, but in all of wrestling, backyard, pro, you name it, the most dominant right now. Because our guest tonight, who makes his long-awaited debut to Sportswire Radio, is the special confidant of arguably the most dominant champion in this sport, the Anarchy King himself, Mr. Ledger Shade. Our guest has been a staple in the history of TBW. He has pretty much done it all, and he must have his most important role yet to date. He's going to talk about it here and some. He needs no further introduction, but he's going to get it anyway because it's the first time he's here, and the simpletons out there watching and listening are going to want to hear it as well. So with that, woo! Wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, the special confidant of the Anarchy King, the undisputed TBW champion, Mr. Ledger Shade. They call our guest tonight the PainMaker, Josh Allen. Mr. Allen, good evening.
Evening, Mr. Bryce. It's an honor to be here.
And certainly, feeling is mutual, sir. This has been one a lot of people have certainly been waiting for a long time here. And I have to ask the question that basically everybody has on their minds, especially for those that just watched Rampage 148, also just watched the latest anniversary show. What is left for Ledger Shade to accomplish after what he did in decimating Daniel, the Alpha Cole?
You know, Mr. Brevin, you're a smart man. I like that. A very smart, a very intelligent man. So, as you all you simpletons witnessed on the last broadcast, myself, Mr. Ledger, Spade and Club in the ring, and I simply asked everyone, what is next for the Anarchy Era? What is next for the Anarchy King? What is next? We have went through the likes of Joe Anderson, Jay Wild, Gage Flair, Lake Lewis, the Atomic Twerp, and most recently, the almighty No-Show himself. So I asked what is next on the plate for the Anarchy Era and for Mr. Ledger. But right now, it seems that Commissioner Hamshop's old beast hasn't got anything yet. So we will be waiting, Mr. Beast. Hopefully you'll have somebody, because Beast and the rest of these TBW parasites and the TBW simpletons, we are now approaching 500 days combined that Mr. Ledger, the Anarchy King, has been the undisputed champion. Like you're promoting, getting 500 days of your show as well. Congratulations. But
yes, I've been at it for almost 500 shows, and I have been doing it for just about 5 years, actually. In fact, I go back to the days of Skype, almost as long as TBW. But, you said something interesting, and I want to go back to it, because obviously we saw Rampage 148 kick off with obviously you, Spade and Club, and I'm going to get to Spade and Club in a second, along with Mr. Ledger. But, I mean, what is really left to accomplish? Because, you rattled off as impressive of a roster that anybody has, I would dare say, in all of wrestling. You rattled off names like Atomic Titan, who came on the show a couple weeks ago. Obviously, we'll get to that in a second. Jay Wild, the Prophet, you mentioned him. The Grim Reaper, Joe Anderson, obviously the former champion, the man that Mr. Ledger took the title from. Lake Lewis, who was the U.S. champion, which put Mr. Ledger in giving him those 2 championships. I mean, and Daniel Alpha Cole this past month over at Anniversary 6. But, I mean, why even continue in TBW at this point? I mean, I think at this point you guys can retire on top, because there really is nobody left I could think of on this roster that Mr. Ledger can really conquer, and what's the point?
Mr. Bryce, you might have an honest point there. What's left? I mean, for God's sake, what is left in this
retire on top. Listen, I mean, in sports and wrestling, nobody ever seems to do it. It seems like you and Mr. Ledger, it's almost like you guys you came, you saw, you went. I mean, maybe it's just time to retire and let somebody else get the reins. I don't know. Just a question.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, what in the world? We've done everything there is to do in this godforsaken promotion. But you know what eats at me the worst, Mr. Bryce? We have done everything for this promotion, and we still don't get the respect we deserve from the board of directors, from the commissioner, the general manager, even the president, who doesn't show up anymore. So it makes me sick that we are on top of the mountain in TBW, and everybody else just climbing inch by inch.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that's a point. That's a fair one. Conversely, is that TBW really is the top of the mountain when it comes to this sport. When it comes to people, when they think about wrestling, they think about, I got to make sure I watch TBW. Got to make sure my stuff is sent to TBW management, sent to the locker room. People talk about TBW, but the point really is, I mean, you guys are at the top. You're at the peak of your game. You're in your prime. And I mean, listen, how many wrestlers, how many confidants can say, hey, you know what? I can retire on top. Certainly Roman is struggling with that because Roman's lost his family. And, you see about it now in guys in other promotions and, they're champions for 400 days, but it's like they're really not going anywhere. And we see it all the time, even in sports. Mike Tyson was the greatest fighter and all of a sudden loses to Buster Douglas and was never the same, went to prison and tried to come back, didn't work out. But you guys, I would just think that I don't know who's left because Daniel the Alpha Cole was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be the guy, but you had a plan apparently, Mr. PainMaker, because who saw this one coming here? Club and Spade. I mean, I almost had to get out my deck of playing cards to have figured out a more clever hand than that. Talk about Club and Spade and how that was almost the event that really changed what we saw maybe in the future of TBW to come.
Well, Mr. Bryce, you brought up the Mr. Spade and Mr. Club as these parasites will know that they was the original henchman of Mr. Ledger when he came on to CNTW. A little bit of history for all you fans out there.
Simpletons, you might want to say, sir.
Or simpletons. But anyway, nobody saw it coming. Nobody. Commissioner B thought he could get the belts off of us by having me not get involved in the main event, but he didn't think that we could have a backup plan, and that backup plan involved to be Mr. Spade and Mr. Club. So now that the family is back together, because you have got the henchmen, you've got the two right-hand men, you got Mr. Spade and Mr. Club, you got the special confidant, and then you got the Anarchy King leading the charge of this Anarchy Kingdom. So I say, Mr. Bryce, it's a dangerous game, a dangerous concept, because you got four people that are looking to destroy this promotion. But you know what? What really destroys it, Mr. Bryce? It's not us. No. Not us. Because we brought this place success.
I think that's a fair point. That listen, we have 5,000 plus subscribers on the YouTube page. We see thousands of views of each show. Fair play. So the ratings would indicate that TBW is the standard bearer. I mean, I would certainly agree with that. But elaborate further, Mr. PainMaker. I'm a little bit confused on this.
You see, people think we're the bad guys here, right? Every week the studio, the audience in the crowd, our arena audience, boo us. Okay. The reason it's jealousy, Mr. Bryce. It's jealousy because everyone wants to be at the top, correct? You all want to be at the top. Every human being, man, woman, or child, wants to be at the top of their game. But the sad reality is, to get there, you got to have hard work. And like I said, we have put down every human being there is. Daniel Cole was the last.
I thought Daniel the Alpha Cole was built. This was the guy that was going to finally end the run that Mr. Ledger has been on. And if he couldn't get the job done, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the question that we kind of left off with at 148. And, the season, we're in the second half of the season already. So, I mean, it's a question. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you guys looking for talent elsewhere? I got comments. I got a bunch of comments for you, Mr. PainMaker. I'm going to get to them in a second. But I mean, who's left? Do you have to find people? What do you want more opponents? I mean, that's why I have to say these questions to you, sir.
Well, Mr. Bryce, there's a few, maybe an inch of people left on our roster. But if anybody out there in the backyard wrestling circuit wants to give it a try and fail and go back home to your territory, you know where we are.
Well, I want everybody, if you're out there, to follow our friends over at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, because they have over 5,000 plus subscribers. So you better make sure you join. You watch all the shows that they put on here. But I have a ton of comments because people on Sportswire love to stay with us live, and they love to talk to people. So let's get to the people here. Mr. Gaming for God says, yo, what's up? The good guy CJ Black from another company called ROEW, which I'm going to get to a talent there that they have that you recently had in TBW in a second. That's a lot of face paint. Facial laugh, I guess, an emoji from Gaming for God. Our friend DKW in the state of Ohio, Dark Cryptic Wrestling, let's go. Mr. Omen Black, who's I know you've mentioned on a podcast with somebody you've called Old Man Taylor before. That name ring a bell a little bit? Old Man Taylor? Says, Old Man Taylor. Yep, apparently he's the social media darling out there, and he says evening PainMaker. Dark Cryptic Wrestling says, I got an idea where he could test the waters, meaning Mr. Ledger. Maybe some new signees will be coming soon that might have a chance. Well, I got more comments, but let me first ask, new signees that will be coming soon might have a chance. You know anything about this here, Mr. PainMaker?
Well, if anybody wants to, like I said, if anybody wants to try and fail and be embarrassed and then forgotten about in history, you know where we are. Like I said, if you want to try and crumble under the weight of the pressure, then by all means. But if you are smart and have any brains, you'll go the other way. You'll go to the hardcore ranks. You'll go to someone else in this organization. Because if you want to be a success, the first thing you would do, they want to go for the top prize. That's the top person in the promotion. But my advice to you, if you really are serious, pack a lunch, okay? If you don't, go to the hardcore ranks. Go to somebody else but if you really have the gall and the determination, by all means. But like I said, if you can't hack it up, if you can't be to the full potential, why try?
So are you saying that these wrestlers or these people that are here tonight that are from different companies, they might feel because in their promotions, they're champions, right? And they look at themselves and they say, well, in their promotion, they're the measuring stick. I mean, do you feel maybe that those people would want to say, you know what? I can beat Mr. Ledger. I can go test my might. I can test what I bring to the table. So I'm sure you're aware of, Mr. PainMaker, that there are many companies, many wrestlers that come on Sportswire, and they're all over the world. I mean, they're in England, they're here in America, different backyard companies. We even had a promoter from Africa message us the other day. I mean, there's people all over the world, and they're probably watching Mr. Ledger. I mean, what do you say to those people that are here tonight? And they may say, you know what? If there's nobody left in TBW, why not me? What do you say to that?
Well, to those individuals that think they have a chance, like you said a minute ago, the people that their territories, their promotions that are champions, whether it's a world champion or whether it's a hardcore champion, tag champion, whatever, they're the marquee of that division, correct? Well, in our territory,
that division, yep, they sure are.
In our territory, there's only one man that currently is the undisputed champion who has not been pinned nor submitted yet, since he has held that championship. So if anybody has the gall and think they're ready to for such a task, such a task.
Suffer and succotash if anybody wants to go challenge is what you're saying. I
Then,
get it.
then by all means, if you think you're ready enough, you know where we are.
Yeah, we definitely do. No, listen, you guys are definitely one of the premier companies, and I'll come back to some of that in a second. I got a ton of comments, and I will get to everybody because I know a lot of people are going to want to talk to you. People are waiting a long time for this one. But, Mr. PainMaker, I have to ask this question because it's obviously a topic in the world of TBW. And, I mean, Club and Spade, going back to them, what's their role here? What do you envision for them? Obviously, they're the muscles of the group of making sure the Anarchy era continues to reign for maybe years to come, decades to come. But what do you envision Club and Spade doing? I think that's a question that I think TBW fans might want to know here, especially after we've seen them now at the end of Anniversary 6 and at the beginning of 148.
You're saying what is Mr. Spade and Mr. Club's role? They know their role, Mr. Bryce. I don't have to tell you that role. They know their role. They're given the orders by the Anarchy King. Why? Because he's my Anarchy King, the greatest backyarder to ever grace a wrestling ring, or any ring for that matter. I mean, for God's sake, take a look at Deadly Collision at Resurrection Wrestling. He put down an old foe, an old fossil, an ancient antique in the Nature Boy Gage Flare. I mean, come on, Mr. Bryce. No matter what look at the statistics. If we was to go to any territory, if we was to leave our homeland and go anywhere else, I can guarantee you, Mr. Bryce, whoever the champion may be wouldn't have it for long. And that's a fact.
Well, you opened something. I wasn't going to ask this question, Mr. PainMaker, because you obviously are very focused on TBW and the Anarchy era and the Anarchy King. But you mentioned other companies and other champions just now. And I wasn't going to ask this question, but, there's guys here like an Omen Black. You might have heard of Mr. Black. He was the IMF champion. I have another guy, CJ Black. He was the ROEW champion. I got Soldier GP here. I'm sure somebody like a Craven Rage is lurking. There's even a guy that we call the coach of Sportswire Radio who was a pro wrestler, was a wrestling Hall of Famer in the state of Maryland named Chris Craven. And these guys are watching. They're saying, you know what? I'm a world champion in my company. After hearing what the PainMaker said, maybe I want Mr. Ledger to come to my company. Maybe I want Mr. Ledger to show up, or maybe I want to venture to the waters in Tennessee. The weather's still good right now. I mean, it might be more action for them in TBW than a Titans game coming up this season. So, maybe these guys are hearing that. Did you open up a Pandora's box here? I mean, I wasn't going to ask you this question, but you did kind of mention other champions just now and Mr. Ledger. And I mean, I have to throw it out there.
About that us going other places, Mr. Bryce. A lot of people are chomping at the bit. They want the Anarchy King. They want him to go everywhere. But here's the kicker, Mr. Bryce.
Yes, sir.
We are TBW exclusive. What that means is we are only TBW. So if they want the chance to get a rub, to get an itch at greatness, like I said, you know where we are. If you got the gall, if you're man enough to come to where we are, then we will see you in the ring. And I can guarantee at the end of it, it's going to be either two ways, ladies and gents, the blackout or the last laugh, which means Mr. Ledger ripping that face right off and doing some dental work.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, I would say if you are a champion in another promotion right now, I would tread very, very lightly if you are going to want to challenge the Anarchy King, the undisputed champion himself. That is Mr. Ledger Shade. And, of course, alongside him is his special confidant, the one and only, the PainMaker, Mr. Josh Allen. And, of course, if you want to follow the PainMaker himself, you can follow him. He's on Instagram at the PainMaker _Joshua Allen. You can also check him out on YouTube as well. And I do have some more comments. So before I ask some questions, I know that other people would like to say some things as well here. So obviously, Mr. Soldier GP, he is also from the IMF. He is one half of the tag team champions. Says you're on top of one mountain but there is more mountains. Well, that's certainly a point that some people might say. Mr. PainMaker, somebody who he led to the promised land and his maybe biggest success in his career in TBW, a recent guest, the American Dragon, Atomic freaking Titan. Oh, it's the PainMaker. So I want to say that here. Skulls, who I guess is part of WC, says when you knock, you might get an undead soul. Soldier GP says, hello, PainMaker. If you feel there's nothing left, maybe come to Iowa and test your abilities. I think that Mr. Allen answered that question. You're not hearing boos over here in the House of Wolves. On the contrary, you're hearing claps out of respect. And obviously, Mr. Black, 5'11", 385, doesn't throw out respect too lightly. Atomic Titan says he's next, but from what I saw in Rampage 148, it looks like Johnny J and Gage Flair, the Nature Boy, are definitely not done with Atomic Titan. I was laughing from you giving PainMaker an introduction. Legend is a Ledger is a, and I was going to ask that question. Ledger is a legend because of the PainMaker. Thankfully for TBW, I'm only interested in getting my property. This individual has an interesting comment. I know one opponent that PainMaker can't seem to beat is Chap Lips. Goddamn, keeps his licks like a dog. That just fill in the blanks. We're a family station on Sportswire, so we try not to repeat all that stuff here.
What a bunch of disrespectful people.
We're a family station. I try my best to limit some things, and I protect that for both sides as well. Ledger hasn't been pinned or submitted since September 21 until I get my third match. I'm going to come back to that. I promise I'll come back to that. How have you been working out, PainMaker? Because you look sweaty and gross. Laughing my ass off. I'm just playing, dude. Keep up the good work. Keep going. Okay, fair enough. Our coach on Sportswire, Mr. Chris Craven, says his pain is not straight. Adonis Felios of WCE, Evening Time, and Mr. PainMaker. Also, I know that we're going to leave that comment alone. Also, Mr. Craven will have to say, hey, PainMaker, I have cheeseburgers. Don't be jealous. And an old nemesis, no pun intended, to Mr. PainMaker, James Taylor himself equals a thorn in everyone's side is the PainMaker, and Gaming for God comes back. I want to ask this question to you, and I feel like for whatever reason, Mr. PainMaker, when you're with somebody, they have their greatest success in their career, whether it's Atomic Titan, the Grim Reaper, Joe Anderson, and now certainly Mr. Legend. What has made it where you've been able to take these guys to the promised land and arguably in their careers have their biggest success?
Mr. Brian, that's a good question. Before I answer this, first off, Twerp, your little comment, your story is done. Don't you understand me? Your story is, remember the old saying, it is finished? You're finished. You're done with. You got Flair to worry about, you piece of garbage. But back to your question, Mr. Bryce. Your question, what out of these men that I've led to the promised land, such as the Atomic Torb, the Grim Reaper, now Mr. Legend, the Anarchy King, my Anarchy King of the Anarchy Kingdom, simple question, I'll give you an answer. The tutelage, that's the key. I took Titan, joined up with Titan, took him to the promised land, and when he couldn't fulfill his job anymore, dropped him like a bad habit.
And he said he wanted to do it for the fans. He all of a sudden had this change of heart. It was almost maybe he felt guilty about his run.
Do it for the come on, Titan. How pathetic can you be? The old you never did it for nothing. You always did it for yourself. And now you want to have this change of heart? And now you want to call yourself the American Dragon? Please. You're the American disappointment. As far as Joe Anderson goes, I took him to the promised land.
You did.
But the fact of the matter is this. Mr. Bryce.
Yes, sir.
He wasn't the darkness, the true darkness, the original darkness, the original master of the mind games has always been one man. And that's the man that I have aligned myself with now, the Anarchy King himself, Mr. Ledger. Like I said moments ago, is the greatest yarder to ever step into a ring, whether it's at TBW or Resurrection Wrestling.
Absolutely. No question that the body of work from Mr. Ledger speaks for itself. And, bringing up Resurrection and obviously seeing a number of TBW talent at the most recent show. And obviously I got a chance to watch the show on the Resurrection Wrestling YouTube page. Please support them. And seeing what Mr. Ledger's done, and and even what the company's done here with Resurrection. I mean, it's got to really help even further cement the legacy of Ledger Shade and even TBWs by going into another promotion, another place in Resurrection, and seeing a load of TBW talent basically hone in and be a huge part of things in Resurrection, especially Mr. Ledger, who was a huge part of the card. I mean, he was one of the premier matches and getting yet another victory over a longtime nemesis in Mr. Gage Flair, the Nature Boy.
Indeed, Mr. Bryce. And I tell you what, at first that I watched the program when I saw the Anarchy King take on the Woo Man, and honestly, that crowd didn't know what to think. They didn't know what to think. They was in awe of the Anarchy King. Then they saw what he could do. They start to realize. You know what they realize? The people at Resurrection, the people of Memphis, they now honor the Anarchy King. You know, like I said on Instagram, Memphis is known for many kings, but Resurrection Wrestling and Memphis now knows there's only one, and that's the Anarchy King. And you cannot dispute that fact.
And I certainly think that right now, the true king of the mountain, or the true real king right now is Mr. Ledger Shade. I do have some more comments here. Again, somebody wants, which is CJ Black, wants this guy, the Anarchist Gunshot, to come on. It was really, I don't want to, listen, Mr. Ledger would eat him. I don't even think that we would want Gunshot and Ledger Shade in a match. Ledger Shade would crumble this guy like a piece of paper almost. We don't want that. That would be really...
Him having the name Anarchist makes me sick.
I don't even want to waste my time asking you, sir, important man like yourself, even bringing up this individual who's more like a slingshot, a super soaker, a Nerf gun. It would be a total waste of my time. Be a waste of your time, most importantly, sir. Also here, Craven Rage, the WC champion, says, well, Mr. PainMaker, I'm always looking for a good challenge and good fight, but I think that Mr. PainMaker answered that question. You got to come to TBW, Craven Rage, and you have to see if the company will allow your championship and your work to go stack up and measure to the measuring stick right now in this sport. That's the Anarchy King, Ledger Shade. Omen Black says Gunshot is next for Ledger. People want Gunshot because it's kind of a running joke here on Sportswire, but I don't know about that. Atomic Titan comes on in and says the same kind of running joke. But, let me ask you, though, in 500 days, we're coming up. And Ledger Shade being a champion. You think about wrestling right now, and I don't care what championship you have in what company, whatever it is. Very few people get to that level in history. Obviously, Roman Reigns is documented, and he's been the champion over 1,000 days. Kenny Omega recently in the COVID era held the title, I think, in about 400 or 500 days. Famously, CM Punk did it about 10 years ago in WWE, about 400 plus days, whatever the number is. But 500 days in wrestling as a world champion, Mr. Ledger, for you, Mr. PainMaker. Very few people get to that. So what does that mean to you and Mr. Ledger to be closing in on that 500-day mark as a world champion? Because very few people get there.
You know what? The 500-day combined reign of Mr. Ledger, it's an incredible feat. Whether you honor him or you don't, it's an honorable feat. So coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, very, very soon, there will be a celebration for the Anarchy King for this incredible feat.
Wait. Time out here. Did you just say that when we get to that 500-day mark here, Mr. PainMaker, Josh Allen, that there's going to be some type of, how can I put this, maybe festivities or celebration for Mr. Ledger, the Anarchy King, to maybe recognize or celebrate his 500 days as the undisputed champion here in TBW? Did I hear my facts correct there?
Did I stutter, Mr. Bryce? I just said that. Coming soon, there will be a celebration or festivities for this incredible feat, because he has not been pinned nor submitted, and we are very approaching the 500 combined day reign. So yes, indeed, there will be a celebration, and it will happen on episode 150 of Rampage, live and in color on TBW Rampage.
And you can go to Tennessee Backyard Wrestling to watch that. Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Mark your calendars. Episode 150 of Rampage. There will be the 500 combined day celebration of the Anarchy King, my Anarchy King, of the Anarchy Kingdom, of the Anarchy era, Mr. Legend Shade, along with myself, the special confidant, and Spanning Club as well.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we are going to be permanently in the Anarchy era because we are going to be closing in on that 500-day celebration of Mr. Ledger Shade, the Anarchy King, of being our reigning, defending, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling undisputed champion. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryson. Alongside me to speak about Mr. Ledger Shade and all things related to TBW and the Anarchy era is the PainMaker, Josh Allen. And if you are out there, I want to thank everybody that has helped Sportswire Radio surpass the 500 like milestone on Facebook. I appreciate all the support. You can continue to like us on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Give us a follow out there on YouTube if you're here for the first time, which is at Sportswire Radio, Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams as well. Also 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're on sportnarium.com/player. And also you can find out all the shows we play, whether it's being music, talk, we simulcast all these great shows here. And we are here speaking with Mr. PainMaker himself, Josh Allen. I've got more comments. I'll get to those. But, I was wondering because you've been a world champion yourself, Mr. PainMaker. You've had a lot of success kind of in your first incarnations of your career. So what did it mean to you to carry the company's flag? What did it mean to you to be one of those TBW all-time greats in the beginning of your first incarnation of your career?
As you just stated, I am currently a three-time World Heavyweight Champion, a tag team champion, a continental champion. So I have had success as a champion over the great years of this promotion. I have, yes, I've been in the mountaintop. I've been there. And now whether I'm in the ring from time to time or not, I still have success because why? Now, the present day, 2023, we are now in the greatest era of any backyard promotion that they've ever seen, and that is the Anarchy era, because the list will be forever climbing and climbing and climbing, no matter who or what the commissioner throws at us or the president of this organization, Matthew Joseph.
What I find interesting, I know I have a bunch of comments here. I'll get to them in a second, Mr. PainMaker, is that as a singles guy, you had a lot of success, but yet you've been able to transition and become this confidant to so many different world champions that have dominated here in TBW. We think about the Paul Heymans, we think about the Bobby Heenans, we think about the Don Callises, we think about all these different people that have been, let's say, managers or advisors, whatever you want to call them. They didn't really have that success as a wrestler, but yet you were able to do it. I mean, Ted DiBiase might be the closest, I guess, comparison. Maybe Harley Race I could throw out there, sort of Ric Flair, but I really thought Ric Flair with Evolution was still wrestling. But yet you've transitioned to where you were this great wrestler, great champion in TBW, but then you've transitioned to where you've had even your biggest success, and people aren't able to do that. So how are you able to transition to being a single star, a world champion in this company, to now where you're managing the guys that are dominating and running this company?
Look, I'm going to throw a little bit of, I'm going to correct you, Mr. Bryce. I'm going to correct you. You said that I'm the confidant of the people that I also managed. Wrong. Listen, I am the confidant to only one man and one man only.
Yes, Mr. Ledger. Yes, and that was my point. You were the confidant to Ledger, but also you advised some of these other champions. So kind of in a nutshell, summing it up, you were able to transition.
You don't understand, Mr. Bryce. There's a difference. When I was with the Atomic Torp and the Grim Reaper,
yes,
you would say I was an advisor, if you will. But now I am a confidant, a special confidant to the greatest performer that has ever graced God's green earth or a ring for that matter. It's a whole different ball game now, Mr. Price. Back then, when I was running with the ones that I did when I was outside of the ring, was it successful? Yes. But you got to ask yourself this question, Mr. Price. Which the most successful one now is the era we're in right now, because nobody has been able to stop us since this duo began.
No, I agree with that. I don't think that when you had Atomic Titan or the Grim Reaper, they have had half of the success in their incarnations as TBW champions. Again, 500 days, right? You think about it. I even rattled it off, whether it's Backyard Pro, we do stuff in England with British Professional Wrestling there and those companies. And I don't know of many wrestlers that have had 500-day runs, and yet here we are, and Mr. Ledger's coming up to 500 days. That's why I thought it was, in a way, to just basically summarize where you came from. You were this big star in the company, but now you've transitioned in with these different guys, and very few people have done what you've done, going from inside the ring to outside of it and done what you've done. Again, I name the names. Maybe Harley Race would come to mind with Vader. That might be the biggest comparison that would make most sense. He was a world champion, graced this sport. What you did in TBW history would be similar to that. I do have some comments here because people definitely want to talk to you because you are the PainMaker. We have here, I want to say hello to my friend, Mr. Daniel Banner, who is going to be in the ring this Saturday. It will be Sunday, maybe U.S. time for our friends at GT Ministry. Says, King, ruler, prince, all titles from a ruthless man, took the nickname from Chris Jericho. Well, that's a little bit of an unfair. Jericho told him to go for it, message us, so he didn't steal anything. Yes, and by the way, that's on Twitter, by the way. In fact, Twitter, Mr. Jericho actually requoted Mr. PainMaker. So that is absolutely 1,000% correct here. Atomic Titan says he's hiding in his cave, CJ Black, meaning I think that would be Mr. PainMaker himself. TBW 150 is full of surprises as well. Tune into TBW and find out. Absolutely, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. YouTube is where you can find out. Hello, Tom. I say hello to Tom. Mr. PainMaker, I know who this individual is. Welcome, Unhinged One. Beans OAW, WC Interstate Openweight Champion. And then this individual here, James Taylor, the Nemesis. I heard you speak a little bit about Atomic Titan, you've called the Atomic Twerp. But I caught you on Taylor's show. You've obviously been said a lot about Taylor here on this show. And anything you want to say to Mr. Taylor, the Nemesis James Taylor? Obviously, he's got his hands full. We still don't know what his status will be in TBW, I'm sure, at the Prophet J. Wild. But anything you want to say and maybe dance on Mr. Taylor's grave here, considering he's a wounded man, to say the least?
A wounded man, indeed. Listen here, you old fart, you old piece of garbage. Like I've said multiple times, this is not 1999 no more. This is 2023, you old piece of shit. This is not 1999 anymore, okay? This is a new breed of backyard performers. And I'm surprised, old man, that you didn't break a hip in the ring against the Prophet at Anniversary 6. How's that head of yours doing, old man? You know what? You have been, every time I have seen you on this program or any other podcast or show, you keep saying you want a shot at greatness. You want the world title. You want this. You want that. Well, old man, do you want us to see you in a retirement home that bad, that quick? Because if you got the itch, old man, if you want to be going to the retirement home that bad, we will gladly put you there where you belong. Because you can't hack it like you used to, Taylor. You're not the young gun you used to be. You're like a last outlaw for the last shootout. And I can promise you, old man, if you ever cross paths with the Anarchy King, you'll be put down like the old dog that you are, old Yeller.
Well, could be. They say every dog has its day. I don't know, but I'm sure that Mr. Taylor will respond in kind. Undoubtedly, I'm sure here, as he always does. CJ Black would like to make an interesting point, and I got to still give CJ credit because of all the guys on here. CJ has impressed me most with his company. It's ROEW Backyard Wrestling, because you've had somebody recently cross paths in TBW named Jack Delta. That's his best friend. If you want the best possible match for your shining star, I suggest booking CJ Black. My demands are simple: flight, hotel, limo, food, all expenses paid. I mean, I'm sure you're the special confidant to Mr. Ledger, but I mean, I guess report this back to Mr. Ledger and you can tell us what
Well,
the answer might be.
here's my demand, CJ. Arrive, get your ass kicked, get sent back to where you belong. Nowhere. There you go.
So you're basically saying no deal?
I'm basically saying if he thinks he's got the gall, he said his demands are simply a flight, hotel, and time, yada, yada, yada. If you think you can do it, CJ, but here's my advice for you, CJ. In your world, they know who you are. In your promotion, they know who you are. Around here, we don't know you, sport. So my advice to you is just stay where you are. Stay safe. Don't think about the consequences, CJ, because the consequences could be dire, my friend.
Is there a point, though, to be made that his best friend is Jack Delta, and Jack Delta's had success in TBW against Atomic Titan and the sister company of TBW, James Taylor? I mean, maybe he feels, you know what, if his best friends had success, why not him in TBW?
Well, he brought up the destructive one himself, Jack Delta. And on a rampage, we saw Jack Delta confront myself, Mr. Ledger.
Yes, we did see that. Yes, we did.
And he said he wanted this. So as he wants, maybe he's looking for a chance for greatness, a rub. You see, in his land, Jack Delta done it all.
Yeah, we well documented. MEW, it's all the companies. He's like the Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere there, which you would appreciate. Obviously, the Johnny Cash reference there. I mean, he has literally been the everywhere man. But he still hasn't conquered TBW, but he's had success here in TBW, Mr. Delta. Maybe Mr. Black feels that because Mr. Delta is his best friend, that he could come in here and maybe he could give Mr. Ledger a run for his money. Because like we've established here tonight, I don't know who's left in this roster for any name to go through for Mr. Ledger. So that's why guys are feeling, you know what, I can pick my shot tonight.
You know, a lot of these people, they want to pick their shot, pick their poison. But we went through everybody that there is to go through in TBW on our roster.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
But there's a few small more left. Some more people left.
Some more left, okay. I want to make sure because this is not my opinion. This is what other people feel. Me, I try to be neutral down the line here. Our friend, Mr. Daniel Banner in England, says, Mr. Allen, I am sure you're ruthless, but every man has a weakness, and I'm sure someone can find it.
Not a chance, Daniel. Not a chance. Not a chance at all. Every normal man has a weakness. When it comes to royalty, when it comes to a king, there is no weakness.
Let me throw a total curveball out there because I don't know what you know, Mr. Allen. I don't know what you know about Sportswire, and I'm going to throw this out there. This is just me talking before I have a surprise for you. And I have a big surprise for you, Mr. Allen, in a second. But, you know, we do what a lot of guys in England, overseas, some of them have even made this trek to the United States. I had on one guy famously who did a stint in Los Angeles, California around WrestleMania named Jenna. They call him the Deathmatch King over there in England. If somebody was, let's say, in England, they were even a British pro wrestler, would you think that they could come into TBW with their resume? Some of these guys have impressive resumes, and they follow TBW. They've told me off the air privately. They watch you guys. They obviously see what you're doing out there. You have a worldwide fan base. And what if these guys wanted to come in and take a shot at Mr. Ledger?
You know, people across the water, like you said, you know, other sides of the world, they get the idea, hey, maybe I can try, maybe I can be the knight in shining armor. Like I said, if anybody thinks they have a chance, anybody at all, you know where we are. Because we are exclusive to TBW only.
Absolutely. And that's why we love TBW. But, you know, Mr. PainMaker, I have someone that you addressed a few minutes ago that would like to say hello to you. He'd like to say something to you. You might actually describe him as a simpleton. He definitely looks like a simpleton, and you actually might know who he is. He's actually exclusive to TBW also, and his name here is James Taylor, the Nemesis. A friend or foe, whatever you might want to call him. You have called him Old Man Taylor. And Mr. Taylor, obviously good to be with you here once again on Sportswire Radio. I feel like usually that's the usual common theme here, but I know you wanted to say something here to Mr. PainMaker. And
you had to get the rub, didn't you, old man? You had to get the rub off of my time here, you old piece of shit.
Man, we got you all wild up. Somebody put some sand in your, you know what? You get all pissed off. You come out here with your little black mascara on like you're something frightening. Let's face it, kid. The only reason you're Mr. Ledger is the champion is because you're sitting there riding his coattails. You're sitting there trying to live under the success of what he has. But
typical answer. Typical answer.
You say I'm the old man. You should respect your elders, you son of a bitch. So you sit there. And the only reason Ledger still has that title is because of you. If it wasn't for you, he would have lost it months ago. He would have lost it to Daniel Cole. Hell, he would have lost it to Atomic Titan. He probably wouldn't even lost it to the Prophet J Wild.
I knew you were going there. I knew that you were going there and mention your nemesis, quote unquote, in Mr. Prophet J Wild.
You know what you're doing, you old fossil? You're trying to divide the kingdom. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to divide myself, Mr. Ledger. But you are sadly mistaken, old man. Sadly mistaken. You are living in the past. You're living like you're 23 again, but you're not, James. You're 39 years old. You're an old man that is past your freaking prime, and you will be put in your place if you ever got that chance. But you know what? Maybe if you didn't get embarrassed and had your ass kicked by the Prophet Anniversary 6, then maybe you would have been the next one. But no, you got your ass embarrassed. You lost. How does it feel, James, to lose your streak?
We did speak about that here on Sportswire, Mr. Taylor. We did speak about that here. That was a big thing here. That's a big. Where do you go from here in TBW? Conversely, we spoke about where does the Anarchy era go, but where do you go from here?
So let me paraphrase him. This simpleton obviously doesn't watch your show, Tom. This simpleton is too busy hiding in his cave, like some people say. You see, PainMaker, it doesn't bother me that I lost a streak. The only reason I had a little bit of a streak is because 9/10 of that locker room can't compare to me. And as far as me being the old man, last time I checked, guys, in Ring of Honor, AEW, WWE, TNA, there's guys that are my age and even older, and they're still doing it.
Well, PCO got set on fire, I think, 2 weeks ago, and he's got to be like 60. He was old back when he wrestled Bret Hart. He was John Pierre Lafitte. I mean, he was old then.
9/10 of TBW is going to wish they're my age and still wrestling. I promise you that. Ooh. I never quit against the Prophet. The Prophet got a lucky submission on me. I didn't quit. I didn't tap out. I wasn't calling for a fax. I wasn't screaming for help. I passed out. And you know what? I took some well-deserved days off. I've been at home. And last week I was watching the big screen like everybody else, and I saw Rampage 148. And not once did anybody really talk about James Taylor, except for the fact, the commentators, except for when the Prophet came out and said, oh, the Prophet beat him. But that's blah, 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 blah. So you know what? Clearly, that kind of grind my gears, PainMaker. And I'm not saying when I'm coming back. I don't even know if I'm going to come back. But what I do know
that's a good choice.
Right,
that's a good choice.
You don't know?
What I do know, kid, is that if the nemesis James Taylor is ever in Lafayette, Tennessee again, in TBW's arena, I pray to the good Lord above that I don't cross paths with you or
You better
Legend.
dial one up.
Because if I see either one of you two mealy-mouthed bastards, I promise you, I will drop you both like a bad habit, period.
Ooh.
Because my focus is to get my hands once again on the Prophet, because he may have won the battle, but he didn't win the war. And last thing, PainMaker, I know you're a busy man, but your Anarchy Kingdom will always be in the middle of my world, because I am the true Tyrant King in all of wrestling.
Well, Mr. Taylor, I have something to say.
Tyrant King, my ass. The only kingdom you are is that little video game world you're doing. Stick to that.
I've heard that from other people. But, Mr. Taylor, I have a direct challenge for you. A direct challenge for somebody that wants to be in a TBW ring. And then I've got two other people I got to bring on here. One of them I'm going to go first with. The other one, I'm going to let the coach come on right afterwards. But CJ Black is specifically calling out James Taylor. Well, since no one there knows me, obvious deflection while he shakes in fear. I guess I'll have to challenge James Taylor. Demands are the same. Flight, hotel, limo, food. Then we fight. Mr. Taylor, I see you looking there, kind of glancing. And, I mean, somebody's challenged you. Forget about Prophet. Forget about Mr. PainMaker. I mean, it seems like this good guy, CJ Black, wants a piece of you.
CJ, I'll tell you what, 50-50. Either somebody, TBW management pays you to come here, or ROEW management pays me to come there. Either way, you're going to get your ass kicked. Plain and simple. You are a good guy. I respect that. You know what? I might even shake your hand before I close and swell your little mouth shut and your eyes. Okay? PainMaker, how you doing, kid? You doing all right?
After seeing your ugly ass mug, I'm gonna.
Well, speaking of people that want to say something to you, Mr. PainMaker, before I bring on the coach, I want to bring on here someone else you called out. That is the American Dragon himself, the man who wants to finish the story, Mr. Atomic Titan. And
this little piece of shit. No. Zac Efron the second, shut the fuck up. You had to get the rub too. You had to.
No. I'm not here for you, because this is about your time. I'm here about the other guy that's there. He wants to claim that he's coming for the TBW World Title, but he couldn't even beat the Prophet. He couldn't beat the Prophet. So you're at the back of the line, James Taylor. If you got a problem, you know where I'm at. I'll challenge you on Rampage to a one-on-one match.
You promise? Do you promise? The best? I get to go one-on-one with the best yet again, so it'll be James Taylor 2 and Titan 0? Hey, I'm fine with that.
No.
Hey, that right there, that's money. That's money.
See, I'm not.
Please put a shirt on, because nobody wants to see your bird chest. So,
listen, I mean, we know that Mr. Titan lost his TBW championship a while back, similar to how Mr. Efron lost Vanessa Hudgens. So clearly, you guys both might have some similarities there. But Mr. Titan, are you sure that you want to challenge Mr. Taylor? And does this help you finish the story? Is that what you're trying to get across here about finishing the story? I mean, tell us why all of a sudden, out of the blue, randomly, instead of addressing Mr. PainMaker, you've addressed Mr. Taylor.
Because
his story was finished.
Coming back and all that. Well, I'm ready for him.
His story was finished. His story was finished at Vendetta, for fuck's sake. You're through with the world title runs, Titan.
Hey, well,
insect.
I'm just gonna say, if James Taylor gets the opportunity to face Ledger, pay attention. It's not as easy as you think. I've been there before.
Yeah, look where your ass is now. Look where you're at now.
Clearly, these guys, Tom, and TBW, because I guess it's just how Tennessee runs, they don't listen. I said my story isn't done until I get my hands once again on the Prophet. That's all I want.
The
All I
Atomic
did
Titan
was
seems
give
to
out.
want you, James Taylor. He
All I
wants
did
you.
was give out a simple warning,
Yeah,
and that
because
is if
all
anybody gets
Taylor
in my
wants to-
way on my vengeance to go back after the Prophet, they will get dropped. Period. Now, Titan, if you're just feeling froggy, kid, and you want to jump on the bandwagon, then by all means, go to the commissioner, go to the president, go get the shit booked, and then I'll drive on down there in a couple of weeks and I'll beat your ass for free. Promise you.
Because
Afraid?
all you want to do is sit there and run your mouth about how you beat me last year. This time, see, I'm not no pushover. You can ask Gage Flair.
You promise you'll give me a little bit more of a fight this time?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I'll give you one hell of a fight. You wouldn't be even walking back.
Tell you what.
You know, I
kid,
gotta
if-
say, I got an alternate point here before I bring on the coach. Mr. PainMaker, this actually might work to your advantage. Let me tell you why. Because this goes back to what I said from the very beginning, in the fact, who's left for the Anarchy King? Because think about it, Titan and Taylor, they're fighting it out amongst each other. From your vantage point, you got to be feeling like, hey, let these guys fight it out, because these guys are going to kill each other like the last time they did in the ring. And one of them is only going to be left standing. The other one's going to certainly be severely damaged and wounded. And this has got to be exactly playing into the hands of what you wanted, because if Titan and Taylor are squaring off, one of them is only going to be left, and that's advantage for you guys.
You know, Mr. Bryce, these two idiots want to battle it out. You know what that means? It's anarchy. And I like anarchy. I love anarchy.
Well, that was exactly my point.
These two idiots fight it out to get to the mountaintop, to get a chance at the mountaintop, only to have their dreams crushed by the Anarchy King. Because Titan, your little measly little ass, you got Flair to worry about. Get past him. And then, old man,
you want to keep calling me names, Josh. So next time we meet face to face, when I come and get my other chance against Ledger, I'm going to win the title, and then you'll be shut up, and there won't be no more nickname calling.
Tom, let me tell you how well I know these two. How many times have you faced Ledger, Titan? Once, twice. Once for the world title, once for the U.S. title, right? You lost the first one, you lost the second one. But in this business, third time's the charm. And I know exactly what's going to happen before the world. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. The third time that Titan actually goes one-on-one with Ledger for both titles, one title, whatever, I bet you about 95% sure that the PainMaker will turn on Ledger and go back to Titan, because that was probably one of the greatest runs in TVW.
Whoa. Are you sure?
there you go again.
There
you go again with that divide
It's
and
on the
conquer.
headlines. PainMaker joins back with Atomic Titan, the two who created Tennessee Backyard Wrestling.
I don't know about that. I think this
together again.
I don't know about that. If you would have said that to me maybe a year ago, I would have said maybe, but I don't see it right.
I'm gonna put about $500 on it, Tom.
I will never, ever side with that little insect piece of shit ever again. Okay, there's your answer. You're trying to.
I got some comments here before I bring on the next person. I have somebody directly going to you, Mr. PainMaker. PainMaker, do you really believe our business is finished? I'll see you and your boy real soon.
Well, it's about time your ass maybe makes a comment, Cole.
Well, I mean,
is this Daniel the Alpha Cole? Do I read this correctly? This is Daniel the Alpha Cole, the man that was supposed to have really finished the story and came up short due to the interference of Club and Spade. I guess this is Mr. Cole himself, huh?
First off, Cole, like I said on the last Rampage, no more chances, Cole. And that includes for everybody else that's been on the Anarchy Era list. No more chances. You thought you had it, Cole. You thought you had that undisputed championship belt in the palm of your hand. But there's always a plan B and C and many more to come, just like Mr. Spade. So, Cole, and they want to say Cole got screwed. Cole got screwed. It's all being a part of the game, being ahead of the game. So you know what, Cole? Do what you do best. Don't show up. Stay at home. Watch a game.
Tennessee's starting to see. Maybe the Volunteers will actually have a good season this year. I mean, it's been a bit of a struggle of late these past few years. Just a random thought.
I got a question.
Yes,
First off, shut up, old man. First, Cole, secondly, you thought you was smart. You thought you had it, Cole, but you was outsmarted by two of the most devious masterminds in this promotion today.
In this sport, I might even say.
Somebody finally honoring a true era. About time.
It certainly is, and we'll have to see. Maybe Mr. Cole will want to give us some answers down the road here on Sportswire. We're certainly open to that. Omen Black, before I bring on the coach, says, why does PainMaker give me Danny DeVito Penguin vibes? Well, that's certainly what Mr. Black might have to say. CJ Black says, real question is, why isn't Ledger on here to speak for himself? Putting a sentence together too difficult for this man? Is he addressing you there, Mr. PainMaker?
Look, CJ, if Mr. Ledger wanted to come on this program and give it a little bit of ratings, he would. But is this Mr. Ledger's time? No, this is the Painmaker's time, the special confidant's time here on Sportswire Radio.
Well, if he
wanted to, you can guarantee that the ratings would flow like wine.
And the ratings are certainly here with Mr. PainMaker. And I want to bring on here our coach of Sportswire Radio, a man who needs no introduction. He's certainly a Hall of Famer. I know Anthony Steele's out there. I say hello to Anthony Steele. And obviously, I will definitely get to what he has to say shortly. But we are here with Mr. Coach, who obviously is a wrestling Hall of Famer in his own right. Obviously, he also mentioned Tennessee. And Mr. Coach, what's your impressions here of Mr. Taylor? Once again, you meet him. As usual, it seems like you and him are always seemingly in the same place. And what do you make of Mr. PainMaker, Mr. Joshua Allen, the special confidant to the Anarchy King, our undisputed champion here in TBW? What do you make of Mr. Allen?
Well, Mr. Taylor still has a chin for comic books, but as far as Mr. Allen goes, I got to ask, just real quick. Someone mentioned the Penguin earlier. Penguin vibes. I kind of get like Jake Harper from like 2.5 Men grew up and ate Charlie and Alan. That's kind of what I'm looking at it right about now. Like, I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it. Like, you do look like you struggling to breathe, boss. You good? You really good? Your lines are crooked.
Disrespect.
40-some minutes late. Your lines are crooked.
That's all you got to say, Craven? That little stint?
I got a lot more.
Well, then carry on. Carry on? Okay, well, I'll do that. You take a good long breath, catch it real good. You're going to need it. Especially after you look winded, dude. You look real winded.
Well, he's a busy man, though. He's the leader of a man who's a confidant for almost 500 days as champion in Mr. Ledger's
Yeah, but it sounded like Sling Blade. Even Sling Blade had a lot of things going on. I'm not impressed. Like, I like his delivery with his work in the camera, but it's like you're struggling. Like, this isn't the 80s, brother. We ain't got to worry about Macho Man Hulk Hogan interviews and promos. It ain't. You mentioned territories earlier. Do you think you're still in one? I got to answer that. Are you still? You think you're a part of a territory? Like it's back in those days?
Well, they have a big following, though, TBW, Coach. I'm sure.
I get that. I get that, but the gimmicks from the 1970s, like, you got to retort. Like he's just staring in the camera and rolling his eyes. That one line that's crooked's really bothering me. No, nothing.
Well,
the PainMaker.
Look,
come on, make it hurt. Come on, make it good.
Get him, PainMaker.
Make the pain.
What do you tell me? I'm an old man. He's a year older than me.
Yeah, come on, make the pain, brother.
Listen. I see where this is going here, but Coach, I mean,
I'm just having fun.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. But you mentioned Tennessee in the past, and we've got Mr. PainMaker here. And I mean, are you impressed with the run they've had? I mean, 500 days as a world champion almost is very impressive. I mean,
I've looked at a lot of the TBW stuff that's been said to me, and it's good. I like it. It's one of the reasons.
Okay, all right, that's good.
It's one of the reasons why I wanted to go down there. But who is this guy that he, who's this guy that he washes around and walks around with? This participant in the ring.
Ledger. Shade. I'll speak for him. He seems to be cat got his tongue. So you got he was known as Ledger, but now he's the Shade. He won the Raging Rumble back in 2021, which I could get to in another story. He went on to face I think in a triple threat match at season finale, the same season finale that I beat the shit out of Anthony Steele in. He won the main event there, won the title, went on and he's defended the title, and respectfully, he's held that title up to this day.
Oh, he's been as dominant as anybody. You think about the talent that he's run through. I mean, what Ledger Shade has done, I said it. I mean, it pales into comparison of what any champion I would dare say is done.
So is like Craven Rage the generic version of him, or is he the generic version of Craven Rage, since they both have 500-day title reigns?
I'll tell you the difference, though. The difference is, and we love Craven Rage. All right. Fine.
What's the difference? Is Craven Rage the knockoff, or is this other guy?
Well,
who's more legit?
No,
I'm looking for the facts. Who's more legit?
Who's more legit? Shade. I'm not brown nosing because that's where I'm at. I mean, I like Craven Rage to an extent, but I've seen Ledger's work. I've been in the ring with him for maybe 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. But I know I'll vouch for him on this one. He can back his game up.
Ledger, I got to be honest, and we love Craven Rage on Sportswire, but the competition that Craven Rage has faced versus the competition that Ledger Shade has faced, it's like night and day. I mean, Gage Flair, Atomic Titan, Joe the Grin Reaper Anderson, Lake Lewis. I mean, again, love Craven, but, Prince Charles and Tyler Ark and, a Rabbit. I mean, you cannot compare. Adonis Felios, love those guys, love them. But Ledger Shade is the measuring stick right now. He is the measuring stick in this
I hate to cut you off, Tom. Well, I'm sorry.
Why is he not on here with his why is he not on here with his Paul Heyman?
In the Tennessee,
not with his
because that's how they run business. But look, respectfully, Tom, and respectfully to
Sure, absolutely.
In the Tennessee area, the southern area right there, I'm the measuring stick. Just because I don't have a title on my shoulder doesn't mean nothing.
But Mr. Ledger,
measuring stick my ass.
Mr. PainMaker, jump in, Mr. PainMaker.
Why do you think Ledger has yet to be in the ring with me? Because he's scared. Because he's seen what I've done to Anthony. He's seen what I've done to Titan. He's seen what I've done to Gage. He's seen what I've done to everybody. Yeah, I had a streak because 9/10 of that locker room, like I said earlier, doesn't compare. And he's on that 9/10. He doesn't compare. Prophet got a lucky day. He got a lucky day. Might get washed
out. Tyler might put his chin on him and he won't get up.
Prophet got a lucky day, but it ain't over yet between me and him. I'll tell you what.
Taylor, you're nothing but a blow pop. That's all you do is run your mouth 24/7.
Really? I don't know, Tom. You know I like to come on here and test the waters with people and just play a little. So, I think it's interesting. I don't know anything about his talent that he manages.
All right. Well, you know what? Let me get to some comments here.
Stop if you got.
I'll send you some links.
Let me get to some comments here because people want to talk to the PainMaker. We are here on Sportswire, and of course, I want people to follow Tennessee Backyard Wrestling at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. The PainMaker himself, the PainMaker _ Joshua Allen on Instagram. Also catch him on Twitter, Taft Taylor. On YouTube, Taft Taylor, Taft _ Taylor on Instagram. Also, please follow all of the great other people that are out there in TBW, like Atomic Titan, like obviously Mr. Ledger. Certainly follow Mr. Ledger out there as well, and so many other people here. Also, Daniel Banner says, every king can be dethroned, and a Titan slayed. Never pick poison. It's like playing Russian roulette. You just have to take the risk. It's double or nothing, or are you willing to gamble? Also, we have here James Taylor just hit a nerve. Pipe bomb here from Adonis Felios. They want to say something here for a minute, and I want to at least give him a minute. That's Mr. Omen Black and Mr. Soldier GP. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good.
Raiders. Oh,
what's on your mind here? What would you like to say out there? Obviously, people are out there in the world, and Mr. PainMaker is in the house, Mr. Taylor's in the house, and Mr. Coach is here. And what would you like to say out there?
Gentlemen?
What's up, Mr. Craven?
James.
Howdy.
PainMaker. How's it going?
Evening.
So we're here for simply one thing. For next year in July, we'd like to humbly invite you, PainMaker, and TBW to Summer Bash 2 in Ohio, where the many federations around the backyard scene are coming together. They're on a super show. And yours truly, Chris Craven, has penciled himself in. I don't know about James Taylor. Tom Bryce even said he will definitely try to be there.
Come on, Taylor. You can get that chin up there.
Now,
Everybody seems to be going. I'm intrigued.
I guess what we're really asking you, PainMaker, if you, Ledger Shade, or TBW would like to come Summer Bash 2.
Foundation, IMF. Interesting offer, I say least. I respect that offer. A genuine offer. Really do. Really do. I'll think on it.
Okay.
Talk is right.
All
I'll
right.
think. Keyword is
Sounds fair. Sounds fair. And anything else you guys would like to plug here when it comes to IMF related? Because I know we're going to obviously have you guys here just for a minute or two further and then finish up here with the guys on a few other things TDW related. Anything else you guys want to say out there to the world?
Stay tuned on IMF. A lot of stuff's going to happen.
Okay. Well, we can follow IMF on YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666. Also, IMF_wrestling on Instagram. Also, you guys are on Facebook. We'll make sure everybody supports what you guys are doing. And I know we'll have coverage here coming up real soon because there's a lot of questions in IMF TV that need to be answered. And fellas, thank you for that plug. And hopefully people will consider it. Maybe we'll see each other next year at Summer Bash too.
And also, Taylor, this is for you, man. You should definitely come to Ohio. Definitely. So we can finally have our one-on-one.
Yeah, I owe you a match.
Called you out.
I owe you a match. You owe me a match. I dig those shirts, by the way.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Where can we find the shirts?
He says he's going to give you one after he whoops you.
Yeah, I'll give you one. You can join the foundation after I beat you.
I'll be an honorary member, right?
It'd be like a Cena Nexus thing, right? You can join after you get your butt whooped.
I think it'd be like Authority and Big Show. We'll make him do some shit he don't want to do.
All right.
I would love to see that happen.
Kane and the Corporation
Probably
could come
won't,
to
but I'd
mind.
love to see that happen.
I don't know. I might change up. I might take Taylor's side on this one. He may overcome.
Well, we'll have to find out here. Well,
First,
fellas,
he's got to come to Ohio.
Yeah,
Fellas-
fellas, got to come to Ohio.
I definitely want to thank you guys for coming on here and saying hello for a few minutes. We'll definitely speak, I'm sure, later in the week, and everybody can follow you guys out there. And thank you for your time, and we'll speak soon.
See you later, Taylor, PainMaker, and Danny McBride.
All right, there. That was certainly interesting. All right, now I want to come back. Obviously, we're getting to closing thoughts here soon, so I want to get to some closing thoughts here. CJ Black says, "Screw it, I want the PainMaker." CJ Black's just calling out everybody here, Mr. PainMaker. Nicholas Crenton would like to say
Call me out.
he's the RCW Underground Champion in WC. What is it with people being named James that are measuring sticks in their respective feds? Obviously, James Taylor, and some might say in TBW, although I still say Mr. Ledger is the measuring stick. I still say Mr. Ledger is the measuring stick. James Marshall and obviously WCE. And love your stuff, Craven from Isabella Mellon. Where is this foundation? Well, I think the IMF guys will have to further answer that. My question is, maybe this is for you, Mr. PainMaker. My question is, who is willing to play cards? Who is willing to gamble? Who is willing to play Russian roulette when it comes to this rivalry? What do you say to that? Maybe between Mr. Taylor and maybe even you. Who I think that's the question that Mr. Banner would like to throw out there when it comes to this rivalry.
Mr. Banner, interesting question there you just put on here about playing the cards right and this and that. You either go all in or you fold. That's the way I see it. You either go all in or you fold. As far as being a betting man, the only bet that I am betting is that the Anarchy era, the Anarchy King, my Anarchy King, as I've stated multiple times on rampages, will always get the victory by either two ways, the blackout or the last laugh. After that, game over. And Mr. Craven, I'm not a, it's an honor to finally meet you for once. I'll give you a little bit of props. Good evening, Mr. Craven. Nice to finally meet you for once. As far as this old sack of shit goes, that's for you, old man.
You know what? I have to ask a question conversely, and maybe the coach will have a thought on this, and I have some comments. I'll get to them here. And this will maybe tie into a little bit for you, Mr. PainMaker and Mr. Ledger. Mr. Taylor, you obviously talked about the fact, which is a fair one, it's a valid one, that you and Ledger have never really stepped foot in a TBW ring in the same time. I know, obviously, you're going to say you're the measuring stick in TBW, but to be fair, after what the Prophet had done to you at Anniversary 6, are you sure that you would want to go up against the Anarchy era right now and the Anarchy King? Are you sure?
Better make a smart answer, old man.
It seems to be that some people just underestimate me and they forget the fact that
They got Club and Spade now, though. I mean, listen, I love you, but they got
ass.
Club and Spade right now.
It don't matter about Club and Spade. I got an ace and a king. I mean, who gives a
but
shit?
There's 4-1. It's 4-1.
It's the fact that, people forget that I was whipping Prophet's ass the whole time he's been in TBW. I leave for a year. I came back. I still kicked his ass.
Yes, he got wins on him on TV. Correct.
He got a lucky night, Tom. That's all it is. He got one lucky night. He didn't get the job done. Here I am talking to you. Here I am talking to this little punk bastard right here with his Spade and Club and Ledger or whatever the hell it is. He didn't get the job done. And one thing you don't want to do is have me shut up, because I promise you at the end of the day, you will know.
If you ever
is the Tyrant King. My name is the Nemesis James Taylor.
That's the best.
It pisses you off or not. It's backyard wrestling. Oh, the backyard wrestling. I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't say I was a fucking measuring stick.
Fight nice,
because I am. Until you step into the ring with me and you beat me, you're nothing.
And again, measuring stick my ass. Maybe in the 2K world, but old man, not.
We ain't worried about the 2K.
You know what?
Jack.
You know what? Pull that, Mr. Black there. That's the best thing he said all night. That's the best thing he has said all night. You better fold, Jamesy Poo. You better fold.
No, I think Mr.
You don't want to be embarrassed.
Mr. PainMaker, I have to think. Now, tell me what you think. I'll even let the coach chime in a second. But if there's 4 of you and 1 of Mr. Taylor, I mean, I'm not good at many things. I know I can't count, but 4-on-1 seems like, why would Mr. Taylor want to go take on that battle? I mean, don't you agree, Mr. PainMaker?
Because I don't fear anything. I don't fear anybody. I don't fear no group. I'll go right into that ring, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And Mr. Atomic Titan's back. I mean, Mr. Titan, what do you have to say here? Because it seems like Mr. PainMaker's on trial right now.
It's not even about PainMaker. It's about James Taylor keeps running his mouth.
Well, now I have to ask you a question, Mr. Atomic. Tell me what you think, the American Dragon. I mean, there's 4 right now with the Anarchy era right now. You got Club and Spade, Mr. PainMaker himself, and you got Ledger Shade. I mean, I think Taylor's maybe barking up a tree that may not be able to climb. And what do you say to that, Mr. Titan?
Don't put too much confidence in yourself, because you probably won't get the job done.
Ooh. And Coach, what do you think about this?
For once, you know, for once, twerp, you're finally right about something. It's about dang time you grew a brain in that pea-weed head of yours. It's about time you grew a brain up in there. I thought you only had a barrel of sand.
I'm not even sitting here saying that I agree with the PainMaker and all that.
But you wouldn't be coming in here doing that.
From firsthand experience, just take my advice. Strength in numbers always wins. So you might have to assemble some team to take on Legend.
Like anybody would want to join his old ass brigade. Who want to join you?
I don't need or want anybody's help.
Well, let me ask you,
Job done by
Coach. I mean, are you planning or intend? You said you were intending to consider going up to Tennessee. Do you want to help?
I'm going to go. Yeah.
So you want to help Mr. Taylor? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. Mr. Taylor can drop 2 sides of his chin in the center on 3 of these guys, and then the rest of them take care of the 4th. You know, if there's 4 guys.
4-on-1 sounds like a tough battle, right? I mean, I'm not good at much.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Taylor. Hold on, Taylor. Maybe Taylor can enlist the services of Anthony Steele's little brother over here in the corner.
Well, Anthony Steele was here. He had a few things to say. I know, obviously, but he's out there. I want to say hello to him.
I got one question, and I'm a little excited about this. Hopefully you answer. This is a good answer with this. All this use of the anarchy titles and shit like this, and propaganda. Does that mean that Anarchy Gunshot is a part of his anarchy?
No, trust me. No.
Okay.
No, Gunshot will be at the back of the line.
No.
Gunshot is no anarchist.
That would be like Gilbert joining Goldberg.
He doesn't know the meaning of the word.
Got a lot of nerve, Atomic Titan. Anywho, I don't know. This
thing say that he's got James's back. We might not be the best of friends, but trust me, number don't matter to guys like us. That's what he'd also like to say. Daniel Banner from England, by the way, says he'll join James Taylor because he's a nerd like me.
He looks like one.
Well, he's returning to the ring Saturday in England. CJ Black would like to say, "Run, Titan, run! Craven's about to eat you alive."
That long neck dinosaur over there.
Hey Taylor, Hitman for hire. The foundation is, and also
I would join. Hey, I would join Taylor if Taylor asked me and needed help. Hey, I'm always up for a fun time.
As much hate as I got, Tom, and as much hate as I'm getting already, I've got friends too. I've got friends all over the world, and you really think that I couldn't take on?
Well, what about Daniel the Alpha Cole? He says your king's time is ticking. What's your relationship?
I don't really like Daniel Cole, but respectfully, he would have gotten that victory at Anniversary if it wasn't for Shade and Club or Poker wannabes or whatever.
But, can a point be made though that Mr. PainMaker, this is why he's the special confidant. This is why we're in the anarchy era, because we all knew the stipulation was that the PainMaker couldn't interfere. But Club and Spade, there was nothing saying that they couldn't interfere. So isn't this why he's the special confidant? Isn't this why he's the brains of the business? I would dare say, forget about TBW, forget about backyard wrestling. The PainMaker I would say he's got the sharpest brains of anybody in this sport. Can't you make that point?
PainMaker goes a long way. I give him for a manager in the backyard. Shut your mouth. And for a bastard like him,
get it out. Come on,
the backyard world. He does got a sharp mind. I'll give you that. You're a damn good manager.
For once,
you're
finally
good. You're good, but you're just not ahead of my game. You're not that much smarter than me. You're smart compared to all this other talent, to everybody you've managed, but you've failed everybody you've managed. So far, you haven't failed Shade, but that day is ticking. 500 days, that's a great feat. The new number people are wanting to know
let me make one thing clear. I felt me like this little piece of shit on the bottom here. I want to do it for the fans. I want to do it for the people. Who gives a shit?
I gotta ask, is that your real voice? Or you playing, man? Like, what's your real voice sound like?
No, this is the man that's the special confidant. He's the man in this sport that I would say has got the sharpest mind of anybody. I mean, think about it, right? Everybody said that there was no way that the Ledger Shade was going to continue his run here, and the Anarchy era was going to finally end. But Club and Spade, there was nothing that could have said they couldn't come in. I have a question for you, Mr. PainMakers. We got about 10 or 15 minutes. We want to respect your time. Obviously, you're a busy man. You've got a lot of stuff. You got interviews. You got scheduling. You got obviously basically talk with Mr. Ledger and Club and Spade and figure out the future of where the Anarchy era goes. But what are your goals here for the rest of the season in TBW?
Interesting question, Mr. Bryce. The rest of this season, easy. We've already divide and conquer. That's the simple question. We went through everyone in this roster, so you know what that means? We can hold the undisputed belt until the wheels fall off, and the TBWs maybe even no more, for God's sake. Because, in my opinion, my honest opinion, I don't think anybody can do it. People thought Cole was the one. And by the way, Cole, you just said my king's time is ticking. No, it hasn't ticked yet. Never will. Back to that question.
Yes, sir.
Everyone has tried. This old man thinks he can do it. We'll send his ass to a nursing home. No time for that. This little weed at the bottom down here wants to try it again. No, like I said, no second chances. So you know what, old man? You really want to dance? You really think you got it left, old man? You really do.
Are you saying the PainMaker? Wait, time out, Mr. Taylor. Mr. PainMaker, are you saying that for the best interest of Mr. Taylor's career, that maybe he should reevaluate after the tough loss to the Prophet Jay Wild, and maybe he should consider staying permanently in the WWE 2K world? Is that what you're saying, pretty much, Mr. PainMaker?
What I'm saying is, Mr. Rice, if this old man thinks he can hack it, if you think he's got one last bullet in the chamber, then James, you know where we're at. You've worked with us. You know what to do. Talk to Beast. Talk to Matthew Joseph. Get it signed, James. But I can promise you, James, after we're done with you, you will never see the name James Taylor on a TBW program or anyone ever again, because we will send you ass where you belong, packing, and finally retired, left no more. And you can go back to the Promo Wrestling Federation little gang world where you belong.
And you had a lot of success there, Mr. PainMaker. I know you've been a big part of that federation, but Mr. Taylor, we know we love you here on Sportswire, and I'm obviously not going to take a side here. Obviously, the special confidant here, he's a busy man, and certainly we don't want the Anarchy era to basically inflict their lethal dose of anarchy here on Sportswire Radio. But obviously, these are some things to consider, as obviously we figure and reevaluate what the future is of the Nemesis. I do have some more comments because people definitely are fired up tonight. We also have from Daniel Banner, you will soon see me on the scene. I'll see you all soon. I appreciate those nice words from you, Mr. Banner. Obviously, I'll be watching you Saturday at GT Ministries UK in England, live on YouTube and Facebook, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. CJ Black says, James, you need help, need a new best friend, flight, hotel, limo, food. I'm your guy. People have interesting demands here. CJ, how rich do you think James is those royalties are earned nor demand? Let me ask you, as we get to closing thoughts here, let me give everybody an opportunity to say something. I'm going to go with you, Atomic Titan, first. Obviously, we saw what happened with you on Rampage 148. And I think before you worry about your own things, it seems like the Nature Boy and Johnny J still have some unfinished business. But Atomic Titan, what do you want to say to everybody as we get ready for another big Rampage show and everything else out there, as you've made an unexpected appearance here on Sportswire Radio tonight?
Well, you said last week on Rampage, as they cued the music of Johnny J. Jameson, and I got Flair busted right from behind.
It looked like it hurt.
Around. What a cowardly move by Gage Flair. Then I was backstage. I was leaving the building, and I ran into Triple J backstage.
Yep.
And what do? He started running his mouth. I slapped him across the face. I showed him, like I said, I'm no person to mess with. And I said it's not over yet. So come to next Rampage 149. Expect Engage Flair to continue, because I got a few words to say to him.
Well, I think, you know what? Forget about the story being written. I think Gage Flair and Johnny J still have something to say towards you, and we'll figure that out here undoubtedly, and we'll see if there's anything left as the season ends, if James Taylor, the legendary Nemesis, returns and maybe has another face-off, another classic face-off with the Atomic Titan. Coach, obviously you've heard a lot from these guys here. You've hung out with us for a little while, and Any other thoughts you have here as we get ready for closing thoughts? Anything else you might want to say to people out there that have been really fired up tonight? Because a lot of people, I think, have really been fired up here tonight about, obviously, the PainMaker, the special confidant to our Anarchy champion, the Anarchy King himself, Mr. Legershade.
I know usually when people see me on here, they see me go off and just keep going off and off. But I'm trying to hear these guys out. I want to hear what they have to say. You know, we got Stretch over here, Billy Bob, and Mr. Chin over here. But Mr. Chin seems to need help dealing with, Mr. Allen's,
Club and
person.
Spade. Yeah, Club and Spade, and obviously Mr. Ledger.
I'm always usually up for any kind of controversy, just for the fun of it, because it's interesting. So I'll say this, Mr. Taylor, if you need an assisting hand, you buy the beer, and I will show up and whoop ass. And I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm an old man too, Mr. Allen. And I'm somebody that lots of people have tried to get out of the business many times. No one has ever succeeded.
And they never
No
went,
one.
They?
So,
Sounds like both of you need to.
I would love to see if I were to partake in any bit of this. I would love to see any of your anarchy crap heads to put me out. I dare you. Try. Can't do it. You can't do it. And it doesn't matter how many times you get worked up, brother. They still ain't going to be able to do it.
Interesting threat there, Mr. Craven. You know what?
Boring.
Interesting threat, to say the least. So you want
to put over there? He's like he's interested.
So what you're saying is you want to side up with another old man. It's a 2-for-1 special. We get to put two old farts up in a retirement home at the same exact time. What are the odds of that, Mr. Bryce?
It's almost like
2-for-1 special.
Are you saying, Mr. PainMaker?
I got a proposition for you. Taylor and myself will go out and we will find 2 more veterans to go against all 4 of your young bucks. You know what comes with the veterans? Old age is one thing, yes, but experience, knowledge, and the wherewithal how to use that ring and use it properly come with it. Your young bucks can be as green as possum shit, and they can try and they can try and they can try to chop that tree down. But as history has shown us, experience always wins overall. Always. You ain't got to, I'll make it easy for you. Your guy ain't got to put his belt on the line. He ain't got to put his legacy on the line. He's just got to put his ass on the line. How about that? Brother.
You know, Mr. Craven, interesting words for an old man. How's that hairline going for you? You know what? Here's a question for you. How would you like it if you got a black out of the last lap and you're tapping like a little bitch in the ring, and when you and the old man up there on the other side get put out to greener pastures? Because with the black out of the last lap, Mr. Craven and Taylor.
What is the name of that move? The what? The black.
You got the black out in the last lap. Those are the finishing moves of Mr. Ledger.
What is it called? I'm sorry.
It's he has blackout, which is almost kind of like the Seth Rollins curb stop in the last lap. It's basically a submission hold. Basically finishes him up.
Come do it. I invite you. I invite your guy. Come on. I'll put my head down to the ground. Let's see if he can do it. Come on.
You know what?
What?
I can guarantee that he would run circles around you, old man. Just like if he ever got through that one up there, he'd do the same thing.
It always ends a circle and a triangle first.
It always ends in 2 results, Mr. Craven. And it's
what?
Well, all right. So I see where this is going here. Obviously, we'll have to see what happens. And before I get to Mr. Taylor's closing thoughts, and I'll go to certainly the special
Bryce, my thoughts are I'll help Mr. Taylor if he wants it.
Oh, well,
and I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Summer Bash and whoever shows up. I'll say that.
Excellent stuff there. And Omen Black would like to say, Taylor Foundation says when needed, make the call. Make the call, Taylor, is what he would like to say. Soldier would like to say, hey, Taylor, hitman for hire, the foundation is. So those guys have also put their claim out there. It's up to, obviously, you, Mr. Taylor. But anything else you want to say out there, Mr. Taylor? Obviously, you have, as usual, put yourself right in the line of fire here between your nemesis, pun intended, Mr. PainMaker, Josh Allen, even Atomic Titan, your old foe, and anything else you want to say out there before we move on to obviously close out tonight's rather impactful show with the PainMaker, Josh Allen.
Pretty impactful. I guess it really doesn't matter what I say at the end of the day. Everybody's going to have their mind made up. But I mean, literally.
Why do you say that for, James Taylor? Why do you say that's not fair?
You can have anybody be a champion for 500 days, for 10,000 days. It doesn't matter. What really matters at the end of the day is if everybody knows who in the hell you are. Look at that. What does that tell you? I've got people that are outside of this company that know who in the hell the nemesis James Taylor is because my name's out there, because I am known. And when you got people talking about you all the time, that just makes it, I'm doing everything right. And I know you don't like me, PainMaker. I know everybody I've been in the ring with doesn't like me, because if I was there to make friends, then there'd be no reason for me to be there. I'd be a softie. So I invite the Prophet to try and show up and finish me off. And if he doesn't, then if Mr. Ledger is still champion, well, I don't care if he's champion or not. PainMaker, you, Spade, Club, Poker Face, whatever, you know, your confidants, every single person that's part of your stupid little faction.
Boring.
Like Mr. Craven, I can't even talk without getting interrupted. Look at that. See, that's how much they hate me. So, hey, you know what, Craven? You're up there somewhere in Maryland or whatever, and I think Iowa's on the way. Why don't you snatch up the foundation? There's 4 guys. The foundation, you, me. Let's have a little 4-on-4 action. Let's have it. That'd be pretty interesting. Who knows? Maybe next year at that great summer bash, Battle of the Backyards, whatever it is up there in where's it at? Iowa, Ohio.
Birmingham, Ohio, I believe is in Erie County.
That'd be pretty interesting. Maybe we could have a big old crossover match. But you know what? Say what you want about me. You can hate. You can smile. You can giggle. You can get pissed off. The fact remains that I am the absolute best in the yard, period. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Win, lose, or draw. Because at the end of the match, I'm always the one that everybody talks about, period. It's PainMaker. I like you, kid, and I'll see you around. Titan, you're a good kid, too. Put the fist up against your hair with your little pumpkin pie haircut. I like you. But I promise you, the second time you get in the ring with me, I'll whip your ass faster this time, because Prophet won't be the referee. You remember how it was last time when me and you fought. I don't think we really had a fair one-on-one. But I've seen, after you failed and left for a year or two, kind of like I did, when you came back, you've sharpened your skills, but that won't make a lick of damn to me, because when I get in the ring with you, 5, 10, 15 minutes, that's all it'll take. I'll drop you.
Please, someone shut this guy up.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like that the Boo Birds might be out from some, but James Taylor, as always makes an impact here on Sportswire Radio, whether it's the first ever beer bash on Sportswire Radio, whether it's the hashtag now Sportswire Wrestling. James Taylor always has something to say. You can follow him on Instagram at Taff_Taylor, YouTube at Taff Taylor. He's on TikTok as well, and he's also a part of our very good friends over Tennessee Backyard Wrestling and YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, also the Atomic Titan, the American Dragon. Please follow him also. He is the Resurrection, I believe, middle welterweight champion, I think, right in Resurrection. He won that title as well. He's also Atomic Titan on Instagram. Please follow and support him. And CJ Black here, before I get to Mr. PainMaker, the special confidant, has to say here, Craven hates all of Tennessee now. Well, that's not true. I don't.
No, I don't.
He also has something here. He said that I can't actually, he's correct. I can't read it off because I have a family station on Sportswire. And Mr. PainMaker, you can take this for what it's worth. I actually had my local state representative tell me last week, hey, I saw you do wrestling. What's this wrestling like? So I can't actually tell you what Mr. CJ said on the air, because if I say it, somebody's going to shoot me, literally. And then we'll have no Sportswire Radio anymore. Then maybe Mr. Taylor can take it over. I want to say hello, speaking to people that might want to be in the ring, the CWE UK champion of the world, Mr. Big Cheese Logan, who, if he ever wanted to go back into backyard wrestling, would be a great opponent for Mr. Ledger, by the way. It's getting fruity. Good morning. It's 4:30 a.m., and I'm ready for the gym. Hello, lad. So maybe Mr. Big Cheese will want to step back into the yard seat and challenge Mr. Ledger. He's also a world champion. He's got a massive following. That would be one for the ages. And Mr. Roland Havoc says, Taylor, I think Roland Havoc may be willing to fight with you. So there you have it here. Of course, he's a part of our friends over at
Another veteran.
TBW. So waiting for Mr. Havoc to confirm. But Mr. PainMaker, I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts and anything else you want to plug, share, say anything you want to get off your chest about TBW and the Anarchy era, Mr. Ledger, Club Spade, anything else you want to say. Certainly, it has been a tremendous honor to have you. We hope to live in the Anarchy era a little bit longer. We hope to be in your world and continue to be a part of it. So I would be very honored if you had anything else to share. Say to the simpletons, if you want to plug your social media, please do so. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. So, you know what? What an evening it's been, gentlemen. What an evening it's been. What an extravaganza it's been. But keep one last thing in your heads, whether you're craving the atomic twerp, the old man there with the whatever kind of freaking hat he's got on.
Yeah, what's the hat, by the way? What is the hat?
It's Dragon. That Super Saiyan. The Saiyan pride runs right through my veins.
Oh, okay.
Don't quit.
I missed the Bob's Burger shirt, by the way. The Bob's Burger shirt was my favorite you used to wear.
Great show. You should check it out.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. PainMaker, Mr. Special Confidant.
Keep one thing in mind, that myself and Mr. Ledger, we are TBW. And first and second of all, James, a measuring stick? No, you're not the measuring stick. Never was, never will.
Always have been.
Maybe in your world, not in mine.
And all of the back
He's used to measuring hoagies. It's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've said all need to be said, as you as well, Mr. Bryce.
Okay. Well, you know what? I want everybody to follow Tennessee Backyard Wrestling at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Also, the PainMaker _ Joshua Allen on Instagram as well. Please support him. Support Mr. Ledger. Obviously, Mr. Ledger is also on Instagram. He is also on Facebook. You can catch him out there. He is Ledger TBW on Instagram. He is also on Facebook as well. And certainly follow the group, as we are certainly all living in the Anarchy era as they get ready for the 500 days celebration and the continued run here. I would dare say maybe the most dominant run in this sport of any champion, maybe in a very, very long time. And Mr. Ledger wrestles a hell of a lot more than Roman Reigns does these days. So I can tell you, I've seen him in the ring, whether it's in Resurrection, TBW. Ledger is as impressive as anybody in this sport right now. Last comment here. Thanks, Tom, and still number one in all of sports entertainment with Reverend Tom on the scene. Sportswire Radio, good night. Godspeed. Till next time. Sportswire Radio, Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WC Heat on Facebook, YouTube, WCHeat.com. And I'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, with another possible opponent maybe for Mr. Ledger. That's in the UK. That is Bentley, who is the former GT Ministries World Champion. He was the Bolton Town Rumble winner. We'll talk about their show coming up this Saturday called Numbers. It is going to be at the Fountains Church. But gentlemen, it has been an honor as always. I have a feeling we'll be speaking much, much more in the future. And gentlemen, I look forward to what you guys will do. Maybe Craven, Coach, you'll be back out there in the ring. Who knows? Mr. Taylor, let's see what the future is for you. The American Dragon, we'll see if you actually finish this story. And Mr. PainMaker, the Special Confidant, we look forward to the future of the Anarchy era. Good night, fellas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were here joined by the legendary PainMaker, Mr. Josh Allen himself, the Special Confidant to the reigning, defending Anarchy King, the TBW Undisputed Champion, Ledger Shade. Also joined here by the American Dragon, the Atomic Titan, the Nemesis James Taylor, also host of the Nemesis Sessions. You can find that at Taft Taylor on YouTube. The most recent guest was the Coach, Chris Craven himself, of course, the legendary Hall of Famer from our friends over at BEW and much, much more. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryson. If you're on Sportswire Radio, I'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time with Bentley, the vigilante of pro wrestling from GT Ministries and Bolton Town Wrestling. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. And thank you, everybody here. Good morning, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.